Sometimes it's too embarrassing to stay alive. When a situation outside ourselves suddenly and unexpectedly presents a real possibility for the termination of one's life, panic seems to be the number one thing to avoid. It does no one any good to frantically flail around in, say, quicksand, scream hysterically, and pull in the nearest person trying to save you. Panic can also cause you to freeze, and the powers that be choose to paralyze you rather than taking on the fry of the panic. The logic perhaps being, what I don't acknowledge won't kill me, until it does. But in a sudden, life-threatening situation, the ideal option is when all of our mental and physical faculties switch to an autonomous mode, a kind of contrary Zen state in which our ability to act swiftly and efficiently is drastically increased. No calm per se, but still the qualities of no mind, being one with the moment, akin to sticking that final move in Dirty Dancing, nailing Concerto No. 2 by Frédéric Francois Chopin, or snatching the fly with the chopsticks before your master ever even had a chance.
Oh, you're terrible at this!
What's done is done, and with total involvement. One Friday, during sunset, when I was a fledgling adult, my girlfriend, another couple, and I were packed into her brand new Volkswagen Coupe, stoned out of our minds. I sat in the passenger seat as she sped down one of those smooth desert roads that edged the country club sprawls of Palm Springs. The car approached a long bend to the right that was hugging a curved wall of one of the enclosed neighborhoods, requiring my girlfriend to hold tension on the wheel. In our drug condition, the constant scrolling of landscape through the windshield, along with the persistent G-forces felt through the prolonged turn, must have eased my girlfriend into a hypnotic daze, because when the road had finally straightened out and the turn had ended, she was still holding the wheel, headed toward the country club wall. In one pure motion, with not a thought in my mind, I lurched over with my left hand and gripped the top right of the steering wheel. The momentum of my lean gently forced the wheel left, overpowering the resistance of her continued right turn. The position of the car was corrected, and we avoided smashing into the wall. My heart hadn't even skipped a beat.
Everyone okay?
For about 20 seconds, in the soft hum of the new motor, we all sat silent, still, peering into the straight, long road calmly flowing towards us.
Dude!
We almost just died, my friend behind me finally blurted out. He was absolutely right. But we were alive and properly fueled up for the rest of the night, I assure you. These are the kinds of reactions we typically hear about. Once our self-consciousness halts, we either act with the efficiency and speed I had when I lunged at the steering wheel, or we absolutely freeze and hold a placid, dare I say, dumb look on our face while the car goes slamming into a country club wall. But if we are given more time, more than just a moment to act, then a different kind of reaction can take place. A kind of reaction that totally involves one's self-reflection and pride. One where saving face becomes more important than the probability of death. A little while before the almost crash, during a family vacation on the island of Oahu in Hawaii, about every day at the same time, I would exit the timeshare-style beachside high-rise apartment we were lodged in and head over to a group of trees near a broken stone wall, near a half-hill, half-mountain, and have my daily dose of the devil's grass, then perhaps smoke a cigarette or two, and bask in my isolation, youth, and rebellious triumph, watching the waves lap.
Life is great.
One day, I decided to venture up the mountain hill behind me after having such a smoke. Climbing directly up didn't seem to be an option, so I circumnavigated the base of the hill and found a more friendly incline that rose into a rocky ridge I could parkour. The trek along the ridge proved challenging enough, and I reached the summit feeling accomplished. The cool breeze atop the hill overlooking the beauty of Makaha Beach rejuvenated my energy and clarity of mind. So of course, that meant it was time to hit up some more of that gauge, that sticky rope, some more of that wacky backy. After about 20 minutes, the other side effects of the BAMI kicked in, and I was ready to celebrate my day with a feast. Only this time, I would inch my way down the beach side of the mountain instead of the ridge I walked up. Looking down the slope, it didn't appear as sheer as it seemed from down below, and from what I could see, there were plenty of foot and handholds, so I got down on my ass, draped my legs over the edge, and found the first groove with my foot. I carefully went from groove to groove, checking my grip before each move. The incline got sharper the further down I went, which meant that I had to turn to face the rocks. I got down about halfway in just such a position, and below me was about 10 more feet of the same incline, but below that was an undercut, meaning that the hillside angled in on itself and became a cliff. I got a little worried and awkwardly turned my body to face outward to get a better look. No dice. Going straight down might have been an option, but everything around me had turned into a cliff. Nothing but goddamned cliffs. I looked down to the beach and it was only 40 feet away. I was so close. I even considered getting down a bit further and trying to jump. This, of course, was fantastically idiotic, and I accepted that it was impossible to continue. No big deal. I would just turn myself around and head back up the way I came, right? No. The idea of turning back around seemed so precarious it scared the living Christ out of me. Secondly, when I looked up to see if I could head up anyway, the first place I could grip above me was too high. Then I remembered that I had to perform a kind of reverse pull-up to lower myself into the place where I stood. Doing a reverse pull-up would be impossible. Looking around, I saw nothing that could assist me up in order to secure that first grip.
Nothing.
No way. This wasn't happening. I checked if it was some sort of dream where I could snap my fingers and wake up, or at least apply a light amount of lucidity to it and assure myself it would all be over soon, then maybe even enjoy the danger dream. But no, like a stupid toddler who stuck their head into a fence, I was, in my most reliable account of reality, assed up against a cliff with no way to go up, down, nor turn around. These are the moments that are almost impossible to intercept. I was really fucked. The shame, the embarrassment, the terror was like a shotgun blast to the back of the head. Jordan, you arrogant fuck. Now you're gonna try to turn around and invariably slip and slide down while you break your fingers clawing into the cliff face until you get to the overhang and free fall 30 feet into the branches, bushes, and brambles, eventually slamming into the rocks? You may not die instantly, but the moments before would be agony while your mangled and deformed body lay there, gasping for breath as sand entered your bloodstream. You thought that you could perform these dippy-ass species-ending exploits because of your complacent presumption that the universe only serves up the most auspicious outcomes for you every time? No, Jordan. Lovecraft was right. The universe is cold, vast, and doesn't care. But suddenly, I saw a couple strolling down the beach, and they were heading towards me. If they got close enough, I could easily be able to yell down to them. But then it dawned on me. If I asked them for help, they would obviously call the fire department. And then what? A fire truck on the beach? That was insane. Could that even be done? And if so, then the protracted ladder would be like a giant finger pointing out the giant dumb fuck stuck on the hill. Hundreds would gather around to watch the poor, helpless imbecile in vacation shorts get helped down by strong, valiant, rugged firemen. After that, the praised heroes would look at me, shake their heads in disgust, and have a laugh about it down at the station, leaving me to walk back to the apartment through the laughing crowd, mocking me for getting stuck only 30 feet up.
30 feet's a long way.
The Hawaiian locals would say, "Fucking howdy," and add this to the list of offenses brought to them by the mainland of the United States. What's more, I'm pretty sure I wasn't wearing underwear on that day, so everyone below would have no doubt seen my butthole and balls wobbling down the ladder. There was no way in hell I was going to call down for help. But what about the approaching couple? Would it cause too much alarm if I was seen reverse cowgirling this mountain? To avoid being a spectacle, I lit up a cigarette and struck as much a nonchalant pose as my position permitted. If they looked up, all they would see was a calm, stylish bon vivant hanging out in the middle of a flat cliff face. I would appear so laid back, so on fleek, that the last thing they would think about would be extended ladders or the bad kind of wobbling balls. If anything, they would probably picture me on stage, blasting out jazz piano with a cigarette hanging out of my mouth. At that point, each one of them would silently imagine having a threesome for the first time in their relationship. And though they would finish their vacation not having shared that desire with each other, the memory of me on that cliff would keep their sexual future together fresh and alive. It worked. They passed by knowing I could handle myself in any situation. Now, I just had to get out of that situation. Somehow, some way, I was able to turn my body around to face the mountain. It was terrifying. I was breathing heavy, physically shaking, but now I could properly survey the task at hand. Yes, the grips were still too high above me, and there really was nothing to left or right to assist me further. It was like one of those fantasy films where our heroes are facing a blank stone wall they need to pass. But unlike me, they have magic amulets and tinctures they can sprinkle on the stone to make it glow and open. I didn't have shit for magic, but what I did have was the field. The closest thing akin to being in the field is like focus mode in a Batman or Witcher game, so that if there were any footprints or animal piss on the cliff, this would make them light up and be easily seen, like a detective. So I entered the field, quieting the mind and ramping perception, zeroing in on any overlooked convex or groove, anything I could hug my foot or hand on, and levitate myself up. Often, though, when entering the field, we find solutions where we don't expect. And in this case, it wasn't a hand grip or foothold the field presented, but a root. A single root jutting out around the area where I lowered myself down that I swore wasn't there before. I often ponder why this technique works so well. Is it the perception itself that simply reveals what we were blind to? Or does our determined, gentle will actually tune reality and create possibilities previously not in existence? Continuing with my stupidity, I anchored my left hand with as much force as I could on the ledge above, and I reached up with my right hand and grabbed the remnants of the plant. I tugged it a bit, was satisfied in the amount of resistance, and I gave myself one fateful heave. My body actually began rising, but about halfway up, I could feel the root beginning to pull out from the dirt. My heart leapt into my throat, knowing I wouldn't have another chance, so I doubled down and yanked as hard as I could. The root tore out of the mountain, but only after I was able to support myself on the haunch of my left arm. I dropped the root and whipped my right arm on the ledge and performed a push-up. Legs flailing, I got my knee over the ledge. I was stable. Like a goddamned Bugs Bunny cartoon, I saved my life and my reputation because of a root sticking out of a cliff. I skipped down the same ridge I came up with the same energy as when I avoided the country club wall, which hadn't happened yet. When the incline got mostly even, I threw myself on my chest and shoved gobs of dirt from the flat ground into my mouth, like Kevin Costner in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. I could feel the weight of gravity securing me to the earth. I would never take it for granted again. My brother and parents only showed mild interest when I told them of the narrow escape. I'm sure they thought I was exaggerating. I get that a lot. In having more time to think and act in the face of death, the instinct to maintain my Hawaiian Beach social status was deemed more important than, well, being alive. Should I have called for help? Yes, but it was a whole lot cooler that I didn't. I was alive, my reputation was intact, and I had saved someone's marriage. It's glory that eclipses common sense every time. There's nothing like adventure. There's nothing like it.